Hey guys, what's up? So I was going to give you a quick review of the Zwift Play Controller today. I've had it since Black Friday. I got it on a Black Friday sale for $50 off the Zwift website. Pros and cons, let's go over it. So the Zwift Play Controller gives you pretty much all the access, all the controls you would need at your fingertips. Getting it on the bars was pretty easy. The attachment to the bars doesn't bother me much because I spend most of my time on the tops when I'm riding Zwift. They connect with Bluetooth. That was a bit of a problem for me because I've always used Ant Plus, and with Bluetooth you have to use your phone or whatever, your computer, whatever, has to have a Bluetooth adapter. I eventually bought a Bluetooth adapter, which seems to be working fine, and then I don't have to go through the companion app, which was fine to go through the companion app, but it was just one more thing. I had to make sure I turned my phone on, and I don't always use the Zwift companion app. In fact, more often than not, I don't use it. So besides giving you some basic controls for the game, like running through the menus and all the options, the option bar, the control bar, which lets you do like teleport, screenshot, coffee stops, turn the HUD on and off, drop emotes and change your views, or do a U-turn, or go to a message control. So it gives you all those controls, right? So besides that, you also have on the other side a dedicated button for power-ups and a yes button, a no button, and then also you can do the ride-on bomb thing if you hold down the Z button. So that's kind of neat. Okay, I am not big on the social aspects of Zwift on the internet in general. I don't particularly care about like emotes. Maybe that's something I should get into, but being able to like say I'm toast or whatever, or ride on, doesn't appeal to me at all. Being able to give ride-ons doesn't really appeal to me when I'm riding. I just think that's kind of cheesy. Never been important to me. So what does this offer? Well, there's also braking and steering. So one of the things I thought when I got this, I thought would be really cool is the steering controls. And now I've had it for a while. Steering controls to me are fundamentally just kind of a fun toy sometimes. I haven't really found that they affect the game that much. But then again, I'm not like in there, you know, doing that many attacks or trying to like calculate the exact best place to be in the draft. And I feel like auto steering does a pretty good job of putting me where I need to go. And the braking is useless because, I mean, there's really no reason to ever brake. So here's a quick example. I was doing a Tour de Zwift ride yesterday. I actually felt good. I was doing really well. I started off horrible though, like normal. And pretty soon, in the first 10 minutes, I found myself at like 580th out of 600 or something. I was like basically doing zone 1. But about 15 minutes in, I started feeling better. This was about an hour and a half ride. And by an hour in, I was feeling great. I was doing my FTP more or less, close to it. Just feeling awesome, like passing people left and right. I got in some fast groups. Was having a great time. This route we did, Snowman, yesterday, finished on a huge downhill. So I made it up through the climbs, passing a lot of people. And then on the downhill, I was just collecting up people as I went down. And it was me and one dude, both bigger riders. And by the end, we had collected up a group of about 12 for the last 5 miles or so. And I decided this other big guy, I could tell he was wanting to make a sprint out of it. He went off, I went off, I went all in. First time in a while I got over 1,000 watts. And I watched the screen in horror as I just come to a dead stop. I thought my bike had broke or something was wrong. Like I was going crazy all out and not moving. I didn't realize it as I was sprinting. I was also holding down the brake button on these Zwift Play controllers. So, I mean, like, that was not a big deal because I really could care less about getting, I think I was like 350th place or 360th place or something. It really didn't matter. But at the same time, I'm like, if I had been in a race I cared about, that would really tick me off. Like, why would I sprint and brake at the same time? So that's kind of an annoying problem with these. As far as steering goes, my favorite thing to do with the steering so far has just been kind of like, if somebody's behind you, you want to not even drop them, but just kind of mess with them. You can steer real hard one way or the other, and then just kind of relax and drop in behind them. And most people aren't using steering. It's pretty rare. Just looking at the screen right now, there's one other person in the group I'm in here with steering, so still pretty rare. And I haven't done the repack rush event thing. Maybe I'll try that. Maybe that would be fun. So what I think would be great with steering eventually is if Zwift kind of opened up the world a little bit more, like come up with some, like, I mean, I don't really even see why they couldn't even just do open world, but you go like super crazy slow unless you're on a road, but then also create trails, and then you have to like keep your rider on the trail or something. I think there's a lot of ways this steering could be gamified and made fun, even though that's probably not really why I'm on Zwift, and most people that are on Zwift are on Zwift. So I haven't had to charge them yet. Charged them one time. They're still showing strong 2 months in. So besides steering, the other main function I've really enjoyed having them for is teleportation. So a lot of times I start fairly weak and I get better as I ride. It's not frequently I start in the 1.1 watts per kilogram group and do that. It's a struggle to stay with them usually, but it just kind of gives me, you know, I don't feel like a complete worm when I'm riding around with a slow group like that. And then by maybe I'll jump up to the 1.5, and then maybe a little bit later I'll teleport to like a 1.8 group. So having that ability to teleport easily instead of having to reach over, my keyboard's way over there. I don't have any kind of like table or shelf or anything, so that's really handy. Controlling Zwift with these, something I kind of forget I can do sometimes, like just running through the menus. But generally by the time I'm doing that, I'm off the bike anyway, so not really all that helpful. So being able to change camera angles is pretty cool, but again, not really all that important to me. Like every now and again, yeah, I would love to just get a different view, but most of the time I'm just in the default view. I did find that something that once I started using these Zwift Play controllers I really did like was the ability to go ahead, switch to first person view, and then turn off the HUD, which gets you a much more chill riding experience. I mean, none of all this data floating around, no names, no overlays at all, just like riding a bike. I find that to be pretty fun sometimes when I want just to ride and just watch the scenery go by. So that's pretty cool. That's the main things I use it for. Steering, I'm usually just following a route, so the right and left buttons are great when I remember to use them, but most of the time I'm just following whatever route the group's on or I'm on or whatever, so not particularly great. I think in the long run, considering the overall use of them, barely worth $50. Barely. If steering became more critical, if you got more of a bonus steering yourself, It is kind of gives you something else to think about. You know, trying to steer. But the auto steering works so good that it's kind of unnecessary. So ultimately, if I could go back, I think I would still buy them, but $50 for these is a kind of a long shot. So, see ya.